The transport ship landed with a soft hiss on the landing pad of New Ganymede Medical Outpost. Nurse Jiwoo Kim grabbed her small bag and stood up. She had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach this remote station at the edge of human space. Her new home. "Final stop, New Ganymede. All passengers please collect your belongings," said the ship's computer. Jiwoo smoothed down her white uniform. After 8 years in the Interplanetary Medical Corps, she was used to transfers. This assignment was different. The frontier was dangerous. The hostile alien species called Kavari had been attacking outposts like this one with growing boldness. Tall man with gray hair waited for her at the bottom of the ramp. He wore the blue jacket of the medical director. "Nurse Kim, I'm Dr. Do-hyun Park, director of this outpost. Welcome to New Ganymede." He shook her hand firmly. "Thank you, sir. I'm ready to start whenever you need me," said Jiwoo. Dr. Park nodded with approval. "Your record is excellent. We need skilled medical staff out here." He started walking toward the main building and Jiwoo followed. "But first, there's something important we need to take care of." They walked through sliding doors into a wide hallway. The outpost was smaller than the hospitals where Jiwoo had worked before, but the equipment looked new and well-maintained. "Something has changed in how we operate on frontier stations," Dr. Park explained. "Because of the Kavari raids, all medical personnel now receive a guardian." "A guardian?" asked Jiwoo. "Yes. They're genetically engineered creatures designed to protect medical staff. Most look like large dogs or bears. They've been very effective." They turned into a room marked security. Inside, a woman in a black uniform looked up from her desk. "This is Security Chief Suna Lee," said Dr. Park. "She oversees all Guardian operations." Suna stood and bowed slightly. "Nurse Kim, your Guardian, arrived yesterday. It's unusual." "Unusual how?" asked Jiwoo. Suna touched a screen on her desk. "See for yourself." A video appeared showing a massive black tiger-like creature pacing in a holding cell. It was at least twice the size of a normal tiger with glowing amber eyes. A small metal port was visible at the base of its neck. "That's my guardian?" Jiwoo couldn't hide her surprise. "BT-117, said Suna. "The only one of its kind. The other guardians are canine or ursine models. This is the first feline prototype. We've seen." Dr. Park looked concerned. "We requested a standard model, but Central Command sent this one specifically for you. They didn't explain why." "Is it dangerous?" asked Jiwoo. "All guardians are dangerous," said Suna. "But they're programmed to protect medical personnel above all else. The neural interface makes sure of that." Jiwoo studied the creature on the screen. It moved with a fluid grace that seemed impossible for something so large. "What's the neural interface?" "It creates a connection between you and the Guardian," explained Dr. Park. "It won't hurt you. The bonding process takes about an hour," Suna added. "The bond means the Guardian can sense your emotions and location. It will know if you're in danger even from a distance." Jiwoo nodded slowly. "When do I meet it?" "Right now, if you're ready," said Dr. Park. They walked down to the lower level where a reinforced door marked Guardian Holding stood. 2 security officers waited outside with stun weapons. "Just a precaution," said Suna, noticing Jiwoo's expression. "The bonding works best when it's just you and the Guardian, but we'll be watching through the cameras." Jiwoo took a deep breath. "I'm ready." The door slid open, revealing a large room with transparent walls. In the center was BT-117, even more impressive in person. Its black fur had a faint pattern of darker stripes, and its shoulders reached as high as Jiwoo's chest. As she entered, the tiger's head turned toward her, its ears flattened against its skull. "Just walk slowly toward it," Suna's voice came through a speaker. "Let it recognize you." Jiwoo moved forward carefully. The tiger backed up, matching her steps. "That's odd," said Dr. Park's voice. "It should be approaching you." Jiwoo stopped. The tiger stopped too, keeping the distance between them. "Maybe I should remove my jacket?" Jiwoo asked. The white uniform sometimes made patients nervous. "No, keep it on," said Suna. Guardians need to recognize medical staff by their uniforms. Jiwoo took another step. The tiger let out a low growl, backing into the corner of the room. "This isn't right," said Suna. "I'm coming in." A moment later, Suna entered with a small device. "This is the neural interface activator. I need to get close enough to use it." The tiger's growl grew louder as Suna approached Jiwoo. "Stay behind." "Me," Suna ordered, moving forward with the device held out. Without warning, the tiger leaped, not at Jiwoo but at Suna. It moved faster than seemed possible, knocking the security chief to the floor. The device slid across the room. The tiger stood over Suna, its massive jaws inches from her face, but it didn't bite. Instead, it looked at Jiwoo, then back at Suna, as if making a point. "Don't move," whispered Suna. Jiwoo's heart raced, but she noticed something strange. The tiger wasn't attacking. It was placing itself between her and Suna. "It's already protecting me," Jiwoo said with sudden understanding. "It thinks you're threatening me with that device." The door burst open as the security officers rushed in with weapons raised. "Wait!" Jiwoo held up her hand. "Don't shoot." She slowly knelt down, making herself smaller. "BT-117, she said softly. "No one is going to hurt me. Or you." The tiger's ears twitched at her voice. "Please let Officer Lee go. She's not a threat." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the tiger backed away from Suna. The security chief scrambled to her feet and retreated. "Everyone out," ordered Jiwoo, surprising herself with her confidence. "I need to be alone with it." "That's too dangerous," protested Dr. Park, from the speaker. "It's the only way," Jiwoo insisted. "Please trust me." After a tense discussion, the others agreed to leave, but remained watching through the cameras. Alone with the tiger, Jiwoo sat cross-legged on the floor. "Well, BT-117, it looks like we're partners now." The tiger watched her with those intelligent amber eyes. It made no move to come closer, but the growling had stopped. Jiwoo noticed something she hadn't before. When she moved her hands, the tiger flinched slightly. When she adjusted her white uniform, its muscles tensed. "You're not aggressive," she realized aloud. "You're afraid." The massive creature that had just overpowered a trained security officer was afraid of her. A nurse in a white uniform. "What happened to you?" Jiwoo whispered. The tiger made no response, but for a brief moment, Jiwoo thought she saw something in those amber eyes, a flash of something almost human. In the observation room, Dr. Park turned to a colleague. "I've never seen anything like this. That creature could tear her apart in seconds, but it's behaving like she's the dangerous one." "Central Command didn't send us a guardian," replied his colleague. "They sent us a mystery." Back in the holding room, Jiwoo slowly stood up. "I don't know why you fear me, BT-117, but I promise I won't hurt you. We're going to figure this out together." The tiger watched her carefully, its powerful body still tense. But it didn't back away this time. Now that was enough. 3 days after her arrival at New Ganymede, Jiwoo sat in the medical tech lab. Across from her, Technical Officer Hyunjin Cho studied readings from a scanner. "The neural bonding should be simple," said Hyunjin, pushing his glasses up. The other medical staff completed the process in one session. Jiwoo looked through the window where BT-117 waited in the next room. The tiger had been following her around the station, but always kept its distance. It would not let anyone place the neural interface on it. "What happens during the bonding?" asked Jiwoo. Hyunjin pointed to a diagram on his screen. "The interface creates a connection between your brain patterns and the Guardian's enhanced mind. It allows it to sense your emotions and location. The Guardian learns to recognize threats to you specifically." Jiwoo watched as BT-117 paced back and forth. "And what were these creatures before they became Guardians?" Hyunjin looked uncomfortable. "They were engineered from animal DNA, with enhanced intelligence and strength. They're not like normal animals. But they feel pain and fear," said Jiwoo. "BT-117 is afraid of something." Hyunjin nodded slowly. "I've never seen this behavior before. All the other Guardians seek out their assigned medical staff. They want the bond. Dr. Park entered the lab. Any progress? None, said Hyunjin. BT-117. Won't accept the interface device. Dr. Park frowned. Central Command is asking for updates. We can't have an unbonded guardian on the station. It's not safe. I have an idea, said Jiwoo. Let me try something different. That evening, Jiwoo sat in the empty cafeteria. BT-117 had followed her there, maintaining its usual careful distance. The tiger watched from across the room as she ate her dinner. You must be hungry too, said Jiwoo. She placed a tray of meat on the floor and pushed it halfway between them. Then she returned to her table. BT-117 looked at the meat, then at Jiwoo. Slowly it approached the tray. It never took its eyes off her as it ate. You know, where I grew up in New Seoul, we weren't allowed to have pets, Jiwoo said conversationally. The living spaces were too small. I always wanted a cat. The tiger finished eating but didn't retreat. This was the closest it had ever voluntarily come to her. I became a nurse because of my grandmother, Jiwoo continued. She was sick for a long time. The medical staff who cared for her were so kind. I wanted to be like them. As she talked, she noticed BT-117 slowly relaxing. Its ears were no longer flat against its head. My first assignment was on a hospital ship. We treated people from all across human space. Some had injuries, some had strange diseases. I learned that most people are afraid when they come to medical facilities. They're afraid of pain, of bad news, of the unknown. The tiger blinked its amber eyes, watching her intently. Is that why you're afraid? Because of something that happened to you in a place like this? Jiwoo reached slowly into her pocket and took out the small neural interface device Hyunjin had given her. BT-117 immediately tensed. It's okay, she said softly. I won't force this on you. But without it, they might send you away. I don't want that to happen. She placed the device on the table. This is your choice. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, to her surprise, BT-117 moved closer. It stopped just beyond arm's reach. You understand me, don't you? You're much more than just an animal. The tiger made a soft rumbling sound in its throat. Not a growl. Something different. Jiwoo slowly extended her hand, palm up. I promise I will never hurt you. I will protect you just as you're meant to protect me. BT-117 leaned forward, nostrils flaring as it sniffed her hand. Then, very gently, it pressed its head against her palm. The contact sent a jolt through Jiwoo's mind. Suddenly she wasn't in the cafeteria anymore. She was in a white room strapped to a table. Sharp pain pierced through her body. Figures in white uniforms moved around her, talking in clinical voices about the subject and enhancement procedures. The vision faded as quickly as it had come. Jiwoo gasped, pulling her hand back. BT-117 backed away, watching her reaction. That was your memory, she whispered. That's why you fear medical staff, because of what they did to you. The tiger lowered its head almost like a nod. Jiwoo wiped tears from her eyes. I'm so sorry. That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. The memory she had glimpsed kept playing in her mind. It wasn't just fear she had felt. It was betrayal. As if BT-117 had once trusted the people in white uniforms before they heard it. A soft sound outside her quarters made her sit up. She opened the door to find BT-117 lying in the hallway. The tiger raised its head when it saw her. Would you like to come in? Jiwoo asked, stepping aside. To her surprise, BT-117 rose and padded into her room. It circled once, then settled on the floor near her bed, amber eyes watching her. I'm going to try something, said Jiwoo. She picked up the neural interface device from her nightstand. If it hurts, I'll stop immediately. She knelt beside the tiger. This time, it didn't back away. Carefully, she placed the device against the metal port at the base of its neck. The device made a soft clicking sound. BT-117's eyes widened, and Jiwoo felt a strange sensation in her mind, like a door opening. Images and feelings flooded through the connection. She saw glimpses of a laboratory, pain, fear, then training facilities where BT-117 was taught to fight, to track, to protect. The tiger had been punished when it failed and given barely any reward when it succeeded. Jiwoo sent her own thoughts back through the bond, her childhood home, her grandmother's smile, the satisfaction of helping a patient recover. The small joys of everyday life, sunlight through windows, the taste of sweet fruit, quiet moments of peace. When the flow of images finally stopped, Jiwoo found herself sitting on the floor, her hand resting on BT-117's huge paw. The tiger was looking at her with new awareness. "We're bonded now," she said quietly. "I can feel it." Through the connection, she sensed the tiger's response, not in words but in emotions, caution, curiosity, and something like hope. The next morning, Jiwoo and BT-117 walked into the medical center together. The staff stared in amazement. The tiger still kept a careful distance from others, but it stayed close to Jiwoo's side. Dr. Park approached, stopping when BT-117 growled softly. "You completed the bond?" he asked. Jiwoo nodded. "Yes, we understand each other now." "Incredible," said Dr. Park. "The readings from your neural link are stronger than anything we've seen before. How did you do it?" "I let BT-117 choose," said Jiwoo simply. "The bond has to work both ways." Later that day, Jiwoo treated a miner with a broken arm. As she worked, she could feel BT-117 watching from the corner of the treatment room. Through their bond, she sensed its tension when she prepared an injection. "It's just medicine to help with pain," she explained aloud. "See? The patient feels better now." The miner looked confused. "Are you talking to that thing?" "Yes," said Jiwoo. "BT-117 is learning what I do. It needs to understand that not all medical procedures cause harm." As the weeks passed, Jiwoo and BT-117 settled into a routine. The tiger was always nearby, watching over her. At night, it slept outside her quarters, a silent guardian. Through their neural bond, Jiwoo continued to share memories and feelings with BT-117. Gradually, she felt the tiger's fear of her white uniform fading, replaced by trust. During quiet moments, Jiwoo would sit with BT-117 and read aloud from her books or tell stories about Earth. The tiger would listen with those intelligent amber eyes fixed on her face. "You know," she said one evening, "you should have a real name, not just a designation." BT-117's ears perked up. "How about Taiyang? It means sun in my language. Your eyes remind me of sunlight." Through their bond, she felt a warm response. Acceptance, pleasure. "Taiyang it is then," she smiled. That night, for the first time, Taiyang entered Jiwoo's quarters without invitation and curled up on the floor beside her bed. As she drifted off to sleep, Jiwoo felt a deep sense of contentment flowing through their bond. The guardian still watched over her with fierce protectiveness. But now, when she wore her white uniform, what reflected in those amber eyes was no longer fear, but respect. 3 months after Jiwoo's arrival at New Ganymede, the medical outpost had settled into a new normal. The sight of a massive black tiger following a nurse through the corridors no longer caused staff members to stop and stare. Taeyang, as BT-117, was now known to Jiwoo, had become part of the station's daily life. "I still can't believe how well that creature obeys you," said Dr. Do-Yun Park as he and Jiwoo reviewed patient files in the main medical office. "The other guardians are well trained, but yours shows almost human understanding." "Taeyang doesn't obey me," Jiwoo corrected gently. "We work together. There's a difference." Through the glass wall of the office, they could see Taeyang sitting in the waiting area. The tiger's eyes never left Jiwoo for long, even as it observed everyone who entered the medical center. Dr. Park smiled. "Whatever you call it, your methods worked. Central Command is pleased. They're asking for detailed reports on your bonding process." Jiwoo felt a small chill at these words. Since forming the neural bond with Taeyang, she had seen more of the tiger's memories, glimpses of the painful experiments that had created it. She was not eager to share these discoveries with Central Command. "I'll prepare something," she said carefully. Later that day, Jiwoo was treating a young engineer with a deep cut on his hand. As she cleaned the wound, she noticed Taeyang becoming tense. "It's just antiseptic," she explained aloud, knowing the tiger could understand her. "It stings a little, but it prevents infection." The engineer looked nervous, eyeing Taeyang. "Is it safe? I heard these guardian things can be dangerous." "Only to people who threaten medical staff," Jiwoo assured him. "Taeyang is just concerned because you're in pain." Through their bond, she sensed something else in the tiger's mind. Not just concern about the treatment, but a growing alertness. Something was wrong. Jiwoo was just finishing the bandage when an alarm began blaring throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed in the corridors. "Warning! Security breach in Sector 7. All personnel proceed to secure areas," announced the station's computer. Dr. Park rushed into the treatment room. "Kavari raiders, they've breached the outer hull. Everyone to the central hub immediately." The HFY Central Hub was the most protected part of the station, with reinforced walls and emergency supplies. All station personnel were trained to gather there during attacks. "Help me with the patients," Jiwoo called to a nearby medical technician. They began moving people from the treatment rooms. Taeyang paced anxiously, growling low in its throat. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt waves of protective instinct and fighting readiness. Security Chief Suna Lee appeared in the doorway, her uniform torn and a small cut on her forehead. "We have at least 12 Kavari warriors inside the station. Security teams are engaging them, but they're heading this way. All medical staff need to move to the central hub now." The medical center became a flurry of activity as staff helped patients to their feet. Dr. Park activated the emergency transport beds for those who couldn't walk. Jiwoo was helping an elderly patient when she heard shouting from the far end of the medical center. 2 security officers ran past, weapons drawn. "Kavari in Sector 4. They're cutting through to the medical center," one shouted. "We need to move faster," urged Dr. Park. "Jiwoo, take these 2 patients ahead. We'll follow with the rest." Jiwoo nodded and began guiding an elderly woman and the engineer with the cut hand toward the exit. Taeyang walked beside them, muscles tense and ready. They had just reached the east corridor when a loud explosion shook the station. The lights flickered and went out, replaced seconds later by dim emergency lighting. "They've hit the main power conduit," said the engineer, looking worried. "The backup systems aren't fully online yet." A security alert sounded on the station's communication system. "All routes to Central Hub from Sectors 3 through 6 are blocked. Kavari forces have cut off East Wing access." Jiwoo's heart sank. They were in the East Wing, now cut off from the Central Hub where everyone else was heading. "We need to find somewhere to hide until security can clear a path," she told her patients. The elderly woman looked frightened. "What about those alien raiders? I've heard stories about what they do to humans." "We'll be safe," Jiwoo assured her, though she wasn't feeling confident. "Let's go to the supply room. It has a strong door." As they hurried down the corridor, Taeyang suddenly stopped, ears perked forward. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt alarm. "What is it?" she whispered. The tiger turned to face the way they had come, its body low and ready to spring. A moment later, Jiwoo heard it too. The sound of heavy footsteps and strange clicking noises that could only be Kavari raiders. "Run," she told her patients, pointing ahead. "The supply room is just around that corner. Get inside and lock the door." The engineer helped the elderly woman hurry forward. Jiwoo started to follow, but Taeyang blocked her path, pushing her toward the patients with its massive head. "I can't leave you," Jiwoo protested. Through their bond came a clear message. Not in words, but in feelings and images. Protection, duty, and a command. Go. The sounds of the approaching Kavari grew louder. There was no time to argue. Jiwoo ran. After her patients, reaching the supply room just as they were closing the door. "Wait." She slipped inside. "Seal it tight." The engineer secured the heavy door. "What about your guardian?" Jiwoo didn't answer. Through her bond with Taeyang, she could feel what was happening in the corridor they had left. The tiger was facing 8 Kavari warriors. The aliens were tall, with gray-scaled skin and 4 arms, each holding a different weapon. They moved, with unnatural quickness, their black eyes fixed on the tiger blocking their way. In the station's security center, Commander Min-Soo Yoon watched the emergency cameras with growing concern. Most of his security teams were fighting Kavari in other sectors. The East Wing was cut off. "We have civilians trapped in Sector 5, reported an officer. 3 people in the medical supply room. And, sir, you need to see this." The officer switched the main screen to show a corridor in the East Wing. A single black tiger was facing a group of Kavari raiders. "That's Nurse Kim's guardian," said Commander Yoon. "It's outnumbered 8-1. They watched as the Kavari spread out surrounding the tiger. One fired a pulse weapon, but Taeyang moved with incredible speed, dodging the blast and launching itself at the nearest raider. What happened next left everyone in the security center speechless. The tiger fought with a combination of raw animal power and what looked like trained combat techniques. It didn't just attack blindly. It targeted weak points in the Kavari armor, used the narrow corridor to prevent the raiders from surrounding it, and even seemed to be leading the fight away from the supply room where Jiwoo was hidden. "That's not just animal instinct," said the security officer. "It's using tactics." Commander Yoon watched in amazement as Taeyang took down Kavari after Kavari. "It's protecting its assigned medical staff, just as it was designed to do. But this level of combat skill, I've never seen anything like it." In the supply room, Jiwoo sat with her back against the door, eyes closed. Through her bond with Taeyang, she could feel everything. The tiger's focused determination, its calculated movements, even its pain when a Kavari blade cut across its shoulder. "Are you okay?" asked the engineer, noticing her expression. "It's fighting for us," Jiwoo whispered. "I can feel it." Outside, the battle continued. Taeyang was injured in several places now, but it fought on. The last 2 Kavari tried to retreat, but the tiger didn't let them. In the tight space of the corridor, they had nowhere to run from its speed and power. When the final Kavari fell, Taeyang stood alone in the corridor, breathing heavily. Its black fur was matted with blue Kavari, blood and darker streaks of its own. In the security center, Commander Yoon broke the stunned silence. "Send a team to the East Wing immediately, and contact Central Command. They need to know what happened here." Jiwoo felt the change through the bond, the shift from battle focus to concern. Taeyang was coming back for her. She opened the supply room door just as the tiger reached it. Taeyang limped slightly, its injuries obvious now that the fighting was over. "You're hurt," Jiwoo said, kneeling beside the huge creature. She examined the cuts and burns on its body. None seemed life-threatening, but they needed treatment. Taeyang pressed its head against her shoulder in a gesture that had become familiar between them. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt not pain or fear but satisfaction. It had done its duty. She was safe. "You saved us," she said softly, wrapping her arms around the tiger's neck. "Thank you." Later, after security teams had cleared the station, of all Kavari raiders and normal operations were being restored, Jiwoo treated Taeyang's wounds in a quiet corner of the medical center. Dr. Park approached, looking serious. "The security footage has been sent to Central Command. They're very interested in BT-117's performance." Jiwoo applied a healing gel to a cut on Taeyang's shoulder. "His name is Taeyang." "Yes, of course," Dr. Park said. "Central Command is sending a special team to evaluate him. They'll be here in 3 days." Jiwoo felt a chill run through her. "What kind of evaluation?" They didn't say exactly, just that they want to understand how he fought the way he did. Dr. Park hesitated. "Jiwoo, no Guardian has ever shown that level of tactical intelligence before. Central Command thinks they're 3 days after the Kavari attack, a special transport from Central Command docked at New Ganymede." Jiwoo stood in the reception area, her white uniform freshly cleaned. Beside her, Taeyang sat alert, but calm. The tiger's wounds were healing, well under her care. Commander Min-Soo Yoon greeted the visitors, 3 people in the dark blue uniforms of the Guardian Development Program. The woman in front had short gray hair and sharp eyes. The name tag on her uniform read, "Dr. Yoonji Kang, Research Director." Welcome to New Ganymede, said Commander Yoon. We've prepared the facilities you requested. Dr. Kang nodded briefly. We'll need to begin work immediately. Where is BT-117 and its assigned medical staff? Commander Yoon gestured toward Jiwoo. Nurse Kim is here with BT-117. Dr. Kang's eyes widened slightly at the sight of Taeyang sitting calmly beside Jiwoo. Impressive. The report said you achieved a strong neural bond, but I didn't expect this level of control. It's not control, Jiwoo said. It's trust. Dr. Kang smiled, but the expression didn't reach her eyes. Of course. Well, we need to run some tests on BT-117. Please bring it to Laboratory 3 in 1 hour. His name is Taeyang now, Jiwoo said, and I'll stay with him during any tests. Dr. Kang frowned. That won't be possible. Our evaluation requires isolation. Protocols. Taeyang growled softly, sensing Jiwoo's tension through their bond. I don't think separating them is wise, Commander Yoon said quickly. The neural bond is very strong. In fact, Nurse Kim seemed to be aware of what was happening during the Kavari attack, even though she couldn't see the battle. Dr. Kang's eyes narrowed with interest. Is that so? That's an advanced bond state usually seen only after years of connection. She studied Jiwoo for a moment. Very well. You may observe the initial tests. Please report to Laboratory 3 in 1 hour. As Dr. Kang and her team walked away, Jiwoo knelt beside Taeyang. I don't like this, she whispered. The tiger pressed, its head against her shoulder in response. Technical Officer Hyunjin joined them. I've been assigned to assist the evaluation team, he said. I'll keep an eye out for you. Jiwoo looked up gratefully. Thank you, Hyunjin. I'm worried about what they might do. An hour later, Jiwoo and Taeyang entered Laboratory 3. The room had been transformed with equipment Jiwoo didn't recognize. Dr. Kang stood beside a large scanner talking with her team. Ah, good, said Dr. Kang when she noticed them. We'll start with some basic neural readings. Please bring BT-117 to the examination platform. Taeyang followed Jiwoo to the raised platform in the center of the room. The tiger's muscles were tense, but it remained calm. Now, we need to access the neural interface port, said Dr. Kang, approaching with a device in her hand. This won't hurt. The medical transport ship hummed quietly as it moved through space away from New Ganymede. In the small cabin, Jiwoo checked the navigation system again. They had been traveling for 6 hours, heading toward the outer colonies where Central Command's influence was weaker. Taeyang sat nearby, watching her with those intelligent amber eyes. Through their bond, Jiwoo could feel his concern. We're making good progress, she told him. The pilot kept his word. No questions asked. The plan had worked better than she had hoped. Using Hyunjin's security codes, she and Taeyang had boarded the medical transport before the morning crew arrived. The pilot, true to Hyunjin's claim, had simply nodded when he found them already aboard. Supply run to Outpost 47 was all he had said. We'll be there in 3 days. Jiwoo hadn't told him they wouldn't be staying on the transport that long. At the next navigation checkpoint, she planned to take one of the ship's emergency shuttles and set a new course toward the border regions where they might find safety. A warning light flashed on the console, interrupting her thoughts. The ship's communication system was receiving an incoming message. Jiwoo hesitated, then accepted the transmission. Commander Yoon's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but unsurprised to see her. Nurse Kim, he said. I thought I might find you on that transport. Commander, Jiwoo acknowledged, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm sorry for leaving without permission. Taeyang moved to her side, visible in the camera's view. Commander Yoon's expression softened slightly at the sight of them together. Dr. Kang discovered your absence this morning, he said. She's convinced Station Director Park to report you for theft of Central Command property. He paused. She means him, of course. Junho is not property, Jiwoo said firmly. He's a person who was wronged. I had to get him away from there. Commander. Yoon nodded slowly. I understand your reasons better than you might think. But you should know. Central Command has dispatched a pursuit vessel. It will intercept your transport in approximately 12 hours. Jiwoo's heart sank. So you're warning me? I'm fulfilling my duty to inform a station crew member of a potentially dangerous situation, he said carefully. What you do with that information is your decision. Through the neural bond, Jiwoo felt Taeyang's rising tension. He understood what was happening. Thank you, Commander, she said. Commander Yoon looked like he wanted to say more, but simply nodded. Good luck, Nurse Kim. The transmission ended. Jiwoo turned to Taeyang. We need to move faster than planned. The emergency shuttle at the next checkpoint won't be enough. They'd track it too easily. Through their bond, she felt Taeyang's suggestion, an image of a small planet they had passed in the navigation charts. That uncharted world? Jiwoo pulled up the information. It's barely habitable with no established colonies. She studied the readings. But it does have a breathable atmosphere and vegetation, and they might not think to look for us there. She made her decision. I'll talk to the pilot, we need to change course. To her surprise, the pilot asked few questions when she requested the detour. Supply runs are never direct anyway, he said, with a shrug. But I can't stay there long. 1 hour on the surface maximum. That's all we need, Jiwoo assured him. As they approached the planet, Jiwoo packed emergency supplies into a small container, medical equipment, ration packs, a portable shelter. She didn't know how long they would need to hide, but they had to be prepared. The transport landed in a small clearing surrounded by dense purple-leaf trees. The pilot remained aboard, running system checks while Jiwoo and Taeyang explored the area around the ship. We need to find shelter, Jiwoo said, scanning the terrain with a portable device. Something the pursuit vessel's sensors won't easily detect. Taeyang moved ahead, his powerful nose testing the air. Through their bond, Jiwoo could sense his assessment of their surroundings. Unfamiliar sense, but nothing that registered as immediately dangerous. The tiger led her to a rocky outcropping about 1 kilometer from the landing site. At its base was a narrow opening, barely visible among the stones. A cave? Jiwoo directed her scanner toward the opening. It goes deep. This could work. They had just finished moving their supplies into the cave when Jiwoo's communicator beeped. It was the pilot. Incoming ship detected, he said urgently. Military class. I need to leave now if I'm going to avoid questioning. Go, Jiwoo told him. Thank you for bringing us this far. Good luck, the pilot replied. The communication ended. From the cave entrance, Jiwoo watched the medical transport lift off, quickly disappearing into the clouds. Now they were truly alone. She turned to Taeyang. We should move deeper into the cave, away from any sensors they might use. As they made their way through the narrow passages, Jiwoo's scanner detected a larger chamber ahead. The cave opened into a space big enough for both of them to move comfortably, with a small underground stream providing fresh water. This will be our home for now, Jiwoo said, setting up the portable light. At least until we figure out our next move. Taeyang circled the chamber, examining their new shelter. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt his acceptance of the situation, but also concern, not for himself, but for her. I'll be fine, she assured him, understanding his thoughts. I'm exactly where I choose to be. They settled into the cave, creating a simple living space with the supplies they had brought. Jiwoo set up monitoring devices near the entrance to warn them of any approaching threats. As night fell on the planet's surface, the temperature dropped. Jiwoo wrapped herself in a thermal blanket but still shivered in the cave's cool air. Without hesitation, Taeyang lay down beside her, his massive body providing warmth. Jiwoo leaned against him gratefully. We made it, she said softly. For now, at least. Through their bond, she felt his agreement, along with determination to keep her safe. They remained in the cave for 3 days, venturing out only briefly to explore their surroundings. The planet's vegetation was strange but beautiful, trees with purple and blue leaves, flowers that glowed softly at night. Jiwoo began cataloging the plants, identifying several with potential medicinal properties. On the fourth day, as she worked at the cave entrance, Tai Yang suddenly tensed. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt his alarm. "What is it?" she whispered. The tiger's ears were perked forward, his body alert. He nudged her back into the cave, then positioned himself protectively in front of her. A moment later, Jiwoo heard what had alerted him, the sound of engines. A ship was landing nearby. "They found us," she said, her heart racing. They must have tracked the transport's landing site. Through their monitoring devices, they watched as a central command vessel landed. In the same clearing the medical transport had used, armed personnel emerged, led by a familiar figure, Dr. Yunji Kang. "They'll search the area," Jiwoo whispered. "We need to go deeper into the cave system." They gathered their essential supplies and moved through the narrow passages, away from the entrance. Jiwoo's scanner showed that the cave network was extensive, with multiple chambers and tunnels stretching for kilometers beneath the surface. As they moved deeper, Jiwoo noticed Taeyang becoming increasingly disoriented. The tiger stumbled, shaking his massive head as if trying to clear it. "What's wrong?" Jiwoo asked, kneeling beside him. Through their bond, she felt his confusion and pain. Something was interfering with his thoughts, making it difficult for him to focus. Jiwoo checked her scanner. "There's an unusual mineral in these cave walls. It might be affecting your neural implants." She helped Taeyang to a small chamber away from the mineral deposits, but his condition continued to worsen. The tiger lay on the ground, his breathing labored. "Hold on," Jiwoo said, taking out her medical equipment. "I need to check your neural interface." The readings on her scanner confirmed her fears. The integration between the human neural patterns and the tiger's biological systems was breaking down. The stress of their escape, combined with the mineral interference, was causing a cascade failure. "No," Jiwoo whispered. "I can fix this. I can help you." She worked frantically, using her limited medical supplies to stabilize the neural connection. Through their bond, she could feel Taeyang's pain, but also his trust in her. As she worked, Jiwoo strengthened their neural link, trying to support his failing systems with the stability of her own mind. The deeper connection showed her more of his memories, not just the painful experiments of Project Chimera, but fragments of his human life before. She saw a young soldier named Junho, dedicated and brave. She felt his pride when he was selected for what he believed was an elite enhancement program. Then came the betrayal, the transformation, the loss of his human form and voice. Through it all, one thing had remained: his core identity, his humanity, buried beneath layers of animal instinct and neural programming. "Junho," Jiwoo whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I see you now, the real you." For a brief, miraculous moment she felt his direct response. Not just emotions and images, but a true thought, formed in words. "Jiwoo, thank you for finding me." The connection was so clear that Jiwoo gasped. For that moment they were truly mind to mind, human to human, despite his tiger form. Then the moment passed as his neural patterns destabilized again. Jiwoo continued working, desperate to maintain the connection. "Stay with me," she pleaded. "We've come